Hello everyone, thank you for joining the webinar. It is wonderful to see you all again on this magnificent day. So we are glad and overwhelmed by such a huge response showed up today for this webinar. You guys are always our strength. So just like old times, please comment on the chat panel if you're facing any troubles in hearing or seeing the webinar. If you have any queries related to NetFlow Analyzer, please use the chat panel. I will address the same during the webinar. If not, my exceptional panelist team who are present besides me will answer them. For your information, we will be sharing the PPT and hosting the video on YouTube where you can play back multiple times for your references. For those who attended my previous webinar, thank you for joining today. And for those who are new, we are glad to have you here. Either ways, we are delighted to have everyone on board. So I am Savvy, product evangelist from Manage Engine. I'll be hosting the webinar on NetFlow Analyzer Part 2, Exploring Further. Before we kick off with Part 2, let's have a quick recap on Part 1. What are the stuff we saw on Part 1 of NetFlow Analyzer that was held on a week before? So on a previous session, we just saw what are the challenges faced by our network admins in monitoring their network, and how NetFlow Analyzer can make their life easier. What are the characteristics of NetFlow? How NetFlow works and what are their additions? We also saw how to configure the device to export the flows using command line interfaces or graphical user interfaces, or by simply using the network configuration manager module that is available in NetFlow Analyzer. We also saw how to see the device level and interface level traffic. And we also saw on how to do the application mapping for future references. And we also saw what are the types of groupings that are available and what are the advantages of using it. And we also saw what are the types of virtualization options that are available in NetFlow Analyzer and how do we administrate the NetFlow Analyzer. Like how do we manage the NetFlow Analyzer itself for effective performance. Without any further delay, let's get started with part 2 now. For your information, we are currently using NetFlow Analyzer version 12.3.179 for this webinar. For today, we are going to see what is the monitoring capability of NetFlow Analyzer for a CISCO wireless LAN controller. What is deep packet inspection? What is deep packet inspection and how it can be useful for us in monitoring a network? So what is monitoring a Cisco IPSLA? So how can we use Cisco IPSLA for monitoring the WAN links and the VoIP links and as well as the video links? How do we configure a notification profile? So what are the alert profile options that are available? And what is the alarms tab in NetFlow Analyzer? How does it helpful in letting know us the alarms and the critical alarms that is triggered in the recent times? So what are the storage settings and what are the types of data that we use in NetFlow Analyzer? How do we store it and how do we see it? And at last, what are the report options that are available? How many types of reports we can generate? What are the benefits of generating report? And what is the exceptional report that is available in NetFlow Analyzer? And what is high performance add-on? What is the benefit of using the same? And why is it an add-on? So we will be able to see all these today in our session. So let's get into monitoring a wireless controller from Cisco. Wireless network has become a necessity today. Many corporate environments require deployment of wireless network on a larger scale. So this puts us a place where we are forced to monitor all the wireless controller and the access points in it. So to monitor the access points and the Cisco wireless controller, just like any other device you monitor with NetFlow Analyzer, you have to configure the device to export the NetFlow packets to the NFA server that is installed. Once the flow reaches the server, we can monitor the wireless controller, the access points, the SSIDs, the clients with the bandwidth utilization information, like what is the traffic through each access point and what is the most used application and what is the quality of service that is contributing for the same. What is the client IP and the client map. You can also drill down based on the WLAN controller or the access point or the SSID or simply the client to get the details of what I just told, like application, QoS, and the conversation in terms of in and out direction. So let me quickly show you in the UI. So as soon as you configure the device in order to export the flow, they will be listed down under the WLC tab. So in a previous session, we just saw what are the information that we can see under a device, and what are the information that we can see under an interface or an groups and applications, the quality of service, and the WLC. Now we are going to see about what are the information we can see under the wireless controller tab. So let me quick. So to see more information, you have to navigate to inventory and the WLC tab. So once you configure the device to export the flows, the controller will be auto detected and the flows information will be listed on over here. So the inventory is so cool that you'll be able to see the information based on SSIDs, access points, client IP, and client map. And just like any other inventory tabs, you also have the feasibility of selecting multiple timelines. So if I'm more curious on the previous month's traffic, I just have to select the monthly timeline over here. And if I sort it, I'll get the information for what is the maximum contributor for the traffic, like what access point is it or what controller is it. I'll be able to get these informations on a single click. So let me quickly drill down on a wireless controller to show you what are the informations we can see under it. So let me click on a wireless controller and expand it. So you'll be able to see the traffic information over here, like what is the traffic, and the report type we can be sorted out into packets or speed or even utilization. And just like any other report, we have the feasibility of viewing the report in multiple views like charts and graphs. And you can expand the same to export the report in PDF or CSV format, or you can simply email this report to your inbox. And once you click on the clients tab, you'll be able to see all the client level information, like which client IP is contributing more for the traffic, what is the IP address, and what is the in and the out. Or you can also see the information on MAC address level as well for more in-depth information. And the traffic or the top SSIDs and the top access point. Which access point is contributing more for the traffic? So say, for example, I have configured a lot of access points and I'm more curious on what is the access point that is contributing more for the traffic. So if I get this information, I can sort out and spread the load evenly for multiple access points. And what application is contributing more? Is it a Facebook application or is it a ping application? Or is it simply a UDP application that is used for mail servers? So based on this application information, I can sort out and configure the device for more efficient purposes. And what is the quality of service that is contributing more for the traffic? And under the conversation tab, you will be able to see what is the client IP and the client MAC that is contributing for the traffic, and what is a wireless access point, and what is the SSID of those. So you will get all these informations on a single pane. So these are the information that we can see under the device level or the controller level. So let's quickly drill down on each access point and see what are the information we can see over there. So you have to simply expand this to view all the access points in the controller, or you can simply select this access point tab where you can see the access point. So let me quickly drill down on the first floor access point to see what is the traffic on my first floor of my organization. So here again, you'll be able to see the traffic in terms of access point, not for the whole controller. You'll be able to see the whole client view, like what are the client IP, the traffic, and what are the SSID that is contributing, and again, what is the top application for in the, and what is the quality of service, and again, what is the conversation through each access point. So these are the information that can be seen for a CISCO wireless controller in NetFlow Analyzer. So let me quickly go back to the slides. So we just saw how we can monitor a CISCO wireless controller and what are the information we can see under device level and in access point level. So next we are going to see about deep packet inspection. So deep packet inspection is the abbreviation for DPI. So it is an add-on in NetFlow Analyzer, and it works with PCAP and high performance reporting engine in NetFlow Analyzer as an add-on. So it works with a concept called port mirroring. So you have to configure port mirroring in your device to see data under the deep packet inspection tab. So what is the benefit of using this deep packet inspection? It will give you in-depth information on your traffic, like what is the most used URL and what is the network response time for that URL and what is the application response time for that URL. So let's start this off with a scenario. So let's say that I have a website and I get repeated complaints or queries stating that I'm experiencing slowness of the site or so slowness of the application from the users. So in order to sort out or narrow down whether the slowness or the delay is in terms of network slowness or in terms of the application's response itself. So to get these kind of information, deep packet inspection will be very helpful over here. So you will get informations based on URL, application, source, destination, and conversation. So let's see the same in UI. So we have a tab called packet analysis, which will show you these informations. So as I told you earlier, you have to do the port mirroring in your device end to see the data over here. And also we have to do some little tweak over here. That is, we have to enable the high performance add-on first. And also we should enable the DPI, that is the deep packet inspection. So by default, it will be disabled. So you have to enable it manually and select what type of Ethernet card is it and how long you decide to store the data of DPI. So we have the feasibility of choosing from 1 hour to a month. So once you sort out these informations, the data will get populated under the packet analysis module. So let me quickly drill down on the packet analysis to show you what are the information we can see over there. So URL. So when you click on a certain URL, say for example, connection.zoho.com. So this is one of our own. And when you expand it, you'll be able to see what is the application response time and what is the network response time. So what is the slowness? You can drill down on the same to view what is happening, what is responsible for the slowness. And also you'll be able to see what is the conversation for this URL, who's the top source and the destination, and what application are being used for the most number of traffic, and what is the connections and the packets. You will get all these informations on a single pane. So this is so user friendly so that you can have an response time of an URL or an application on a single click. So this is introduced in the recent times, which we found out it is useful for most of the network admins in order to sort out what is a slowness for. And also we have separate tabs in order to see the application level traffic and source, the destination, and the conversation. So you can click on any one of them to see an in-depth analysis of the traffic through a particular application, the traffic, the response time of this application, and what is the top conversation. So you also have the feasibility of expanding it and narrow down on what second exactly or what minute exactly this response time is. So let me quickly drill down. Next, go back to the slides. So we just saw how to configure DPI and what are the information we can see under URL, application, source, destination, conversation, and what is application response time and network response time and how it affects the response time of a URL. So next we are going to see about monitoring WAN links or VoIP links or even video links. So having a big enterprise, we are forced to monitor the WAN links that gets terminated in a network to ensure that everyone in a net gets throughout the internet. And also, if we are using VoIP, we should ensure that there is no interruption during the voice calls. Or also, we should monitor the video links in order to have a seamless or buffer-free video conferencing or such video seminars, something like that. So we can monitor the same using CISCO IPSLA technology for Cisco devices. So as I told you earlier, we can monitor WAN links, VoIP, and video links for Cisco devices. So let's go back to the UI and see how we can configure the same. So we have a separate tab called IPSLA where you have the feasibility of adding VoIP links, WAN links, and video links. So you have an add icon over here. You just have to click on it and define a name over here. And you just select what is the VoIP link source and what interface is it and what is the source port, what is the destination IP, and you can just add the display name. So once it is added, it will be displayed under the inventory under the VoIP column. So you can click on the same to see information on what is the availability of the VoIP link and what is the jitter speed and what is the latency and what is the call path availability, and also you have the feasibility of seeing the packet error statistics. And one interesting thing we can see over here is we can see something called as MOS, which is an acronym for Mean Opinion Service, which gives me an in-depth analysis of the voice quality. So it will give me what is the voice quality for the traffic. So you will get all these informations in terms of availability, latency, jitter on a single pane on the single snapshot page of the VoIP link. So I just got a quick question. So the question is, can I set parameters for the MOS, or can I set the parameters for the jitter or the latency for a VoIP link? Yes, you have the absolutely you have the feasibility of doing the same. To do that, you have to navigate to settings, monitoring, and there you go. So you have the feasibility of setting the source port and the frequency and the MOS average factor and the type of service as well. And also you have the feasibility of setting threshold profiles in terms of what should be the MOS upper limit and the lower limit, and what should be the round trip time. Based on this, you will get notifications on the snapshot page of the device itself. So now let's go back to the inventory and see what are the other informations we can see under IPSLA. So the next is going to be WAN links, monitoring the WAN links in your network. So just like adding a VoIP link, it is as simple as just adding a voice link. You just have to define what is the source for it and what interface and what is the destination IP. So the destination IP can be any reachable IP address just to monitor the round trip time, and you just have to hit save. And once you hit save, they will be listed down with which you'll be able to monitor what is the round trip time of that link and what is the availability and what is the path hop round time trip. And also you'll be able to see what are the threshold values it is violating. So under settings and under the WAN links, you'll be able to set the threshold values for the WAN monitor as well. So if they are being violated, you'll get the informations over here. So as I told you earlier, you'll be able to monitor the availability, the round trip time, and the path hop round trip time history, and what are the alarms that it has triggered, and what is the severity. So you will get all these informations over here. And the next is again the video link. So just like we added VoIP and WAN links, just as simple as adding a video link. You just have to hit on the plus icon and enter the source and the destination, and also you should mention what is the interface. So once it is done, the data will get populated and you'll be able to see what is the availability and what is the buffer time and what is the latency for any video links to have a seamless or a complete successful video conferencing. So these are the stuff that we can see under IPSLA in terms of VoIP, WAN, and video links. And just to let you know where we have to set the threshold values for a WAN link, it is again under the same page, settings, monitoring, and there you go. You have the feasibility of setting the threshold values like what is the round trip time for a WAN monitor. So let's go back to the slides. So we just saw how we can add a WAN monitor, a VoIP monitor, and a video monitor. And we just saw what are the informations we can see in the WAN links, like availability, round trip time, and path hop round trip time. What are the informations we can see in the VoIP, like availability, MOS, that is mean opinion service, and what is the jitter, latency, packet loss, and call path availability. And the same applies for the video. We'll be able to see what is the availability, jitter, latency, and the packet error. So next we are going to see about what are the alarms and alert profiles. So it basically summarizes what is the notification profile that we can set in NetFlow Analyzer. How can I get notified? And what are the parameters that can I set a threshold value for? So we will get all answers for these under the notification profile or simply the alert profile. So to navigate to the alert profile, you should click on settings, NetFlow, and alert profile. And you have to hit on add. So the alert profile is so cool that you have the feasibility of setting a threshold value for traffic pattern or for certain applications. And also you can set threshold values for utilization and what is the duration of the utilization is happening and how many times is it happening. You can set threshold value parameters in these. And you also have the feasibility of setting threshold values for IP group or an interface group or for group of interfaces simply. So let me choose IP group and hit next. And also you can do this modify selection. So you have the feasibility of selecting what are the interfaces that you need to set or what are the IP group that you need to set. And for what traffic, is it going to be in traffic or out traffic, or I'm going to set the same for both. I have the feasibility of choosing the same, and I can also configure should notification profile should be applied for the business hours. And I also have the feasibility of selecting the time zone and the time hours. And we can also exclude the weekends as well. So once you hit on next, have the feasibility of setting the threshold values for multiple data types like utilization, volume, speed, and packets. So let's consider this scenario. So I have a WAN link and I wish to completely monitor it. So because that is crucial for running my business. And also it is the only source for the internet for my whole organization. So in order to get notified if the WAN link is being overutilized, I will be selecting the utilization radio button. And I would say just send me a notification if the utilization of the WAN link crosses 80% for 5 consecutive times in 10 minutes in such a short span. So this looks like a crucial or a critical scenario. So where I will select the severity as critical. And also you have the multiple severity levels like critical, trouble, and attention. Based on the severity or the seriousness of the alert, you can choose any one of these, where attention is the least severity and critical is the topmost severity. And you can select how you should get notified. Should you send me an email, or should you send me an SMS, or should you just send an SNMP trap? You have the feasibility of defining those. So you can just select email, and where you have the feasibility of defining the email address. And once you hit next, you'll just save it. So if the link is overutilizing and crossing all these threshold values, I will immediately get an email email to my inbox stating that, okay, this is happening in your network. Or I also have the feasibility of setting an SMS, but I have to key in my mobile number. And also I should mention the SNMP trap. If I want to send the SNMP trap, I should mention what is a server IP and what is a port and what is a community string. And not only that, you have the feasibility of defining multiple criteria. You can just keep on adding so that you can set multiple criteria or alert generation mechanism. So, okay, so let's say that I have configured to send an SMS or an email. So where should I send configure the SMS gateway, or where should I configure the mail server setting? Does NetFlow Analyzer have their own mail server to send me an automated email? No. So we under basic setting, we have something called as mail server setting, where you have the feasibility of defining your own mail server. So you can just define your mail server and the port number and other credentials. And once you hit save, we'll be using your own mail server to send emails on critical alerts or threshold values. And also for an SMS, we use multiple SMS types. So say for example, we use SMS gateways. So say for example, you have your SMS gateway. So with API key provided and other informations like the post and the URL, you just have to key in those information, where we use the same SMS gateway in order to send you an SMS. Or you can simply use the app SMS from NetFlow Analyzer, or you can simply use SMPP, which is nothing but short messaging peer-to-peer protocol, where you just have to key in your server name, the port, and the username and the password, and we'll be using the same to send you an SMS using the SMPP. So these are the ways of sending you an SMS or an email. So we use these informations. So okay, so yes, I just displayed you or showed you how we can send me an alert. So now how would I be able to see the alert in NetFlow Analyzer UI? So where I can see all the alerts in a unified tab. So we have a single pane called alarms. We have a single icon called alarms, where all the alerts, irrespective of the severity, like critical, trouble, attention, or in type of devices or types, everything will be displayed over here. So under the alarms tab, you can sort the alarms triggered in the recent times according to the multiple severity levels like critical, trouble, and attention ream. And you also have the feasibility of selecting the timeline. Okay, so when should I get an what are the alarms should I see for what timeline? Is it going to be for last 90 days or last 30 days? And I also have a filter option over here. So what type of alarms am I going to see? Is it going to be for NFA, that is a NetFlow Analyzer alarms, or is it going to be for NCM alarms? And am I going to see for, is it for the severity or for the category of the alarms? So you can use the same to see the alarms that has been triggered in the recent times. So you also have the feasibility of adding a note to an alarm just to ensure that, okay, whether it is acknowledged or unacknowledged. If acknowledged, how did it happen? You can add a note for the same. You can simply click on any alarm in order to have a drill down view of all those alarms. So let me quickly click on this alarm to see what are the events that have occurred in the device or the interface. So under the events tab, you'll be able to see all the events that has occurred in the device. So as soon as a threshold value is violated in your network, an event will occur. So multiple events correlate to trigger an alarm. So under the single tab, you'll be able to see both the alarms and the events that has occurred in the device or the interface. So now I got a quick question. So will NetFlow Analyzer send me an alert if the link is down? Absolutely yes. So when you navigate back to settings, NetFlow and alert profile, you have the feasibility of getting notified if the link is down. So we have a default by default notification profile that is called link down. So by default it will be disabled. You just have to enable it manually. So this will send you an alarm if the link is down. So it uses SNMP in order to alert you if the link is down, and also it can send you a notification or get you notified if the interface or the link is not sending flows for the 15 minutes. You can choose either one of them. So, or you can choose both. It's just a checkbox where you have to define, also send me an alert when no flows is received for 15 minutes. You can either use these, or you can just simply say, send me a link, send me an alert if the link is down. So you also have the feasibility of doing this. And you can select for what device is going to be or for what interface is going to be. And what is the email address. So I also have the feasibility of mentioning it over here. So you can use either one of them to get notified when a link is down or when the link itself is not sending you any flows. So let me quickly go back to the slides. So we just saw what are the alarms and the alert profiles. We just saw how to get notified with a pre-configured link or by default link for a link down or a no flow alert. And what are the threshold value based alerts. So like what are the IP ranges I can mention, what are the protocol, and what is the application and the DSCP that I can mention. And a single unified tab where I can see all the alarms that has triggered in the recent times, and how I can see the events and how I can add a note to it. So next is storage setting. So now we are going to see what are the types of data that is available in NetFlow Analyzer, how can I manage them, and what is the use of each and everything, and what is the benefits of each. So in NetFlow Analyzer, we use three types of data. So one is raw data, next is aggregated, and the third one is 1 minute data. So each has their own unique purposes. So first, let's see what is raw data. So as soon as you configure the device to export the flow to the NetFlow Analyzer server IP address at port UDP port number 9996, the flows will be auto-detected by the NFA and the devices will be listed down. So all the flows that we receive, we'll be storing it without any aggregation or without any manipulation. So that is what we call it as raw data. So if a data is stored without any aggregation, that is called as raw data. So we have various purpose for it. We'll see one by one. So by default, raw data will be disabled. So just imagine you have 100 interfaces and you have configured raw for all the 100 interfaces. And if we don't do any aggregation or manipulation, it means huge number of data. And for that, I need a lot of disk space. So just to ensure that to enable whenever it is necessary and to enable for what are the interfaces and the devices it is necessary, we have disabled it by default, have the feasibility of enabling it manually. And one add-on, as you know earlier, NetFlow Analyzer supports both PG-SQL as a default database, and it also has a feasibility of working with Microsoft SQL. So in my previous session, I was mentioning like PG-SQL has an advantage. So why did we choose PG-SQL? So the reason for choosing PG-SQL is there is no size limitation. Since it resides on the local disk space of a server, it can grow on demand. So even if you're configuring flows from 1,000 interfaces or 2,000 interfaces, it has the capacity to store or dump everything in it and grow on demand. We just have to ensure that it has enough hard disk space and RAM to process everything. So now let's quickly see how to configure the raw. So you have to navigate to settings, NetFlow, and storage setting. So under storage setting, we have raw over here. So by default, it will be disabled. You have to enable it manually. And you have the feasibility of selecting how long should I retain the raw. Should it be for 1 hour, 2 hours, or a month? So by default, it will be enabled for an hour. So you have the feasibility of extending it to an year using a high performance add-on. We will see in a minute how you can do that. And also, you have the feasibility of selecting what are the interfaces or the devices that you want to store the raw for. So say, for example, I'm having a crucial WAN interface and the device. So you can just select the device where the WAN interface is terminated and store the raw only for those router where the WAN interface is terminated. And NetFlow Analyzer is so intelligent that it will send you a notification if the disk space of the NetFlow Analyzer goes down, goes beyond 50% or 40, goes below 50% or 50%, it also has the feasibility of alerting you for how long we should retain the data. So you can configure these settings in order to store the raw data. So we just saw how to configure it. So where we are going to see this raw data. So we use this raw data to show the display data on the forensic report, or we simply call it as the troubleshooting report. So it will give you an in-depth analysis of the traffic information in your network. So where all the conversation, irrespective of the conversation size. So say for example, if the conversation, even if the conversation size is in bits like 0.1 bit, everything will be recorded and will be displayed in the forensics report. So that is the purpose of using the raw data for. So just to summarize, you have a complete information about the application, destination, conversation, the TCP flags, and the events on the ASAs and the firewalls. You will get all these informations on a single plane of the forensics. And also for if you configure raw data, or if you just enable raw data in the inventory, the last 2 hours data will be from the raw and not from the aggregated. And the next is, what is aggregated data? How do we store it? So aggregated data is nothing but the data where we do some manipulations and we aggregate the traffic flow what we receive. So basically we have tables like the traffic table, the application in and out, and the conversation in and out. And we aggregate the data. So we usually take the top 100 aggregated conversations of a table. So you also have the feasibility of selecting whether it's going to be for top 100 or is it going to be for top 300. And also you have the feasibility of what is the retain period. Should I retain the same for a month or 2 months or a year? By default, it will be for 3 months. So it is the most used data. So it is the most database efficient, where all the data that you see in inventory or in any other reports like compare report, consolidated report, everything will be available from the aggregated data. So it will have multiple tables like 10-minute table, an hour, 6-hour table, 24-hour table, and weekly table. So based on the timeline you select, the reports will be displayed from or fetched from these tables that are available under the database. So we just saw what is raw data and the aggregated data. Next, we are going to see about what is a minute data. So 1 minute data is used for the traffic information, for the live traffic information on a minute average. So say, for example, you see the traffic information on an IP group or an interface group, or simply the device level traffic or the interface level traffic. So all these traffic information that you see here will be displayed from the 1 minute data. So it will not have a much impact on the database because we use a flat file storage format. So we don't have too much bother about the storage impact for the 1 minute data. And also you have the feasibility of storing the 1 minute data from 3 months to an year. You can select how much, what should be the retain period, time period of the 1 minute data. And we also have the feasibility of setting the time period, the retain time period for NBAR and CVTOS data. So for how long should I retain it? By default, it will be for a day. You have the feasibility of extending it up to an year and in between, like 1 week, 2 week, or a month. And as you know earlier, you can get autonomous system information, like what is the autonomous number that is contributing more for the traffic that they have configured, and what is the name, view, all these information. So if you want to see this information, you have to enable it. So these are the types of storage settings that are available. So the difference between the raw data and the aggregated data, we just saw raw will be by default enabled. By default, it will be disabled. You have to enable it manually in order to see the data under forensics. So it is used for in-depth traffic analysis, with which we can take reports under forensics, or simply called as troubleshooting report. So we have a storage limit which can be extended up to an year using an high performance server. We'll be seeing the same in the later slides today. So it will also help you to narrow down the issue and do the troubleshooting in a much faster way. And aggregated data is used for seeing the data under snapshot page of the devices or the inventory, or under the reports tab like consolidated report or compare report. You can also see it is also used for historical reporting. So this is an advantages of using raw data. Like it will give you a better root cause analysis where we can take a remedy action immediately We just saw how to configure a minute data in NetFlow Analyzer UI. And this is a quick summary about the multiple data types, that is multiple data that is available in NetFlow Analyzer, like 1 minute traffic data or raw data and aggregated data. So as we saw, raw data is used for in-depth traffic analysis, where it is used for troubleshooting purposes. And we can see the same under the forensics reports as well. 1 minute is for the live traffic report or the interface traffic information, where we see the graph information for the 24 hours. And we can also retain this time period over here. And we also saw what is the aggregated data, where we can see those aggregated data, and what is the advantages of using this aggregated data. So now we just saw what are the data that we can store in NetFlow Analyzer and how we store the same. Now let's see what are the types of reports that are available in NetFlow Analyzer UI and how we can efficiently use the reports in order to have an in-depth and then greater visibility of your network. So we have multiple reporting types under NetFlow Analyzer, like custom search, comparing report, forensics from raw, or troubleshooting report it is called as. We can also see what is a consolidated report. So we will see a lot of reports one by one. So let's see about compare report first. So say for example, I have an organization which is scattered across the globe, and I wish to get an in-depth information about the traffic information for peak business hours for multiple locations, let's say in New York and in Washington. So what I can do is I can simply create a report, say for example, compare multiple devices for the same time period. I can choose this and I can see what type of report I'm going to see. Is it going to be the report for speed or volume or utilization? So I'm more concerned on the utilization, and I'm going to select an interface and the top 10 interfaces. When I hit a generate report, I'll get a quick in-depth view of what is the traffic for each devices for the same time that I have selected. And based on this, I can have a drop down view and I can allocate the infrastructure or the resources accordingly. So this will give me information like what is the in traffic and out traffic on this interface on this device. And again, this will give me information on this device as well for the same timeline I select. So there is another possibility or a scenario for using compare report. So say for example, I have two WAN link interfaces that I got from an ISP, and this that has been terminated under two different WAN routers, and I wish to compare the same for a particular timeline. So I can also view the same under the compare reports. So let me quickly click on the compare reports again. So this will give me informations on what is the behavior of the device on peak business hours. I'm sorry, I'm going to select compare same device from a different time period. So I'm going to select the resource and the report options and the time period. So once I hit generate, I'll get in quick information about the traffic for the same devices for different time period. So the better use case for the same is seeing the report for or the behavior of a device on peak business hours and normal regular hours. So say for example, if I want to see the device behavior for during the peak business hours, say like in the morning from 10 to 11, and what is a device behavior or the interface traffic level during the lunch hours. So I can select multiple timelines for these and see the device information and the traffic information for the same. So this is how the device looks like, report looks like. So let me quickly drill down on the next type of report that is available in NetFlow Analyzer, that is capacity planning. So what is the purpose of capacity planning? So say for example, management has planned to roll out an application, an online application, and they have informed the network admin to allocate the infrastructure or the network resources for the same. So as a network administrator, I should first know what is the traffic or the consumption or the traffic in my network. So in order to do so, I'll just select an source, select an interface, and see what is the traffic consumption in my network. So let me quickly show you the data over here. So you can navigate to reports, and under the capacity planning report, you have the feasibility of selecting the source. So when you say generate report, you'll be able to see a quick in-depth information like what is our traffic and what is the average usage, what is the in application traffic and what is the out application traffic, and what is the in source and the out source, and what is the application growth. So you will get all these informations over here under the capacity planning. So as a network administrator, in order to allocate resources like adding a new device or relocating a new devices and transferring the traffic, so this capacity planning report will be so handy for me so that I can plan my actions accordingly. So I can decide what is the application growth rate. So what is the application that needs more resources? So in order to, if I'm introducing a new application, what would be the resources that I need? I can gain these type of informations under the capacity planning report. So this is all about simply improving the infrastructure for any new plans of the business. So we just saw what is a raw report. So how can we use the raw report? What is the raw data and how can we use the raw data? So now let's quickly see how we'll be able to see the raw data under the forensics report. So we have a tab called forensics, and you have to define the size, the device, the interface, and the criteria, and from the timeline. So you have to select these in order to generate a forensic report. So it will give you in-depth information based on the traffic, what is the most used application. It will list you down all the applications in terms of in and out traffic, and what is the source and the destination. And it will also give you information on the TCP flags. So why should I go for a forensic report? So what is the purpose of using this? So let's say, for example, I'm experiencing an unusual behavior in my network. So, and I'm more concerned on what is the application or what could be the reason for this. So I want to see the troubleshooting. I want to do some in-depth analysis to rectify or find the root cause for the same. So in order to find these or find answers for these questions, we can use this forensics report where I'll be able to see the destination, the source, and the application. So I can come to a conclusion that, okay, this could be the reason for this failure. Since monitoring is not about monitoring the present data, it is also about root analysis and others in order to have a seamless information and the traffic. So these are the information what we can see under the forensics report, like what is the destination, the TCP flags, and the conversations. So let's quickly see about what is a consolidated report and what is the use of the same. So under the consolidated report, you have the feasibility of selecting the source, like you can select either an interface or an IP group or an interface group. So let me select a quick WAN interface group that I have created prior to this, and I'm going to select what are the information that I want to see. Is it going to be in terms of speed, volume, or utilization? This time I'm going to see, and I also have the feasibility of selecting whether it is going to be for top 5, 10, 20, or 30. So I'm going to see the traffic information for 30, and I can also select the peak business hours. So when I hit generate, I'll get a quick in-depth information like what is the in application and the out application traffic, and the same for the source, like what is the in source and the out source traffic, and what is the in destination and the out destination. You will get all these informations on a single pane. You can simply expand the same to have a quick drill down view on what second exactly the traffic was. So on 1251, the traffic level is like 2000 megabits or 2000 kilobits. I can quickly see, and I can also see the same for both in and out traffic. And just like any other UI, what we saw earlier, you have the feasibility of selecting the same in terms of bar chart and in graph. And I can export the same report types. This is not only concerned with the consolidated report, have the feasibility of doing the same for any other reports or any other data, what you see under the NetFlow Analyzer UI, under the inventory. You can explore the report in PDF or CSV, or you can simply mail those reports. So next we are going to see about IP group consolidation. So IP group consolidation is all about seeing the traffic that is more contributing. So what IP group that is contributing more for the traffic. So on a previous session, we just saw how an IP group can be created and what is the purpose of creating an IP group. And now we are going to see about what is the topmost contributor for the IP, which IP group is the topmost contributor for the traffic. So I can select what data type is it going to be and what is the time period. So when I hit generate, I'll get what is the IP group that is contributing more for the traffic, like in terms of in traffic or the maximum out traffic, or is it going to be for the total traffic in my network? So the next is billing report. So let me give you a quick scenario. So this billing report is designed mostly for ISPs and MSPs in order to bill their prospects or the customers in terms of the volumes or the speeds consumed. So let me give you a scenario. Say for example, I'm an ISP and I have two clients who are sharing a same WAN interface, and I need to bill them every month. So creating a bill every month is a tedious task. So how can it be automated so that I don't have to do this manual tedious process every month again and again? So I have to do this only one time so that every month a bill should be generated so that I can forward the same to my customers. So let's see this use case. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit add over here. I'm going to hit the bill name, and my customers are in India, so I'm going to use INR. And here I'll be mentioning what is the base cost for the speed. So I'll be just entering 123. And what is the additional speed? So if there is an additional speed, I'll be entering the same value, and I'll be mentioning the same. So I'm going to hit next, and I can see. Give me a quick moment. So once I hit next, I have the feasibility of associating. So here I can either associate certain interfaces or IP groups or interface groups. So for my example, so for the people or for my two enterprises customers who are sharing the same interfaces, I'll be creating two different IP groups. So one is for customer A and one other is for customer B. So I'll be choosing the customer one and I'll be selecting the same, and I'll be hitting next and I'll be simply saving the same. I'll be repeating the same process for another customer. So here what happens is I don't have to do this process and again. So once I create this, I'll be able to see the traffic report over here. Like what is the total amount of the customer should pay me every month. So I can expand the same to see what is the bill that has been generated for customer one and what is the bill that is generated for the customer two, and how much are they supposed to pay me this month. So we can get these informations on a single click with the help of NetFlow Analyzer. So a tedious task of an ISP or an MSP is over within a single few clicks and a minute. So this is how the billing report is so user friendly. So next we are going to see about protocol distribution report. So this protocol distribution report will give you a quick analysis about all the protocols in your network. Like what is the traffic for each protocol? How much are they contributing for the traffic? And what is the topmost used protocol? And as a network administrator, let's say for example, I'm experiencing some slowness in my network. So in order to do the foreign troubleshooting, I will be first more concerned about what is the protocol, whether if a negligible protocol that is consuming more traffic this time. So this could be a reason for the slowness in my network or traffic. So based on these criteria, I can get those informations over here, like what is the protocol and what is the traffic and what is the traffic percentage. I can also see the same in graph over here. So this is a purpose of protocol distribution report. And last but not the least, we have something called as report profile. So this report profile is so cool that any customers or prospects can create a customized report according to their requirement. So we have something called as filters and profiles over here. So in order to create a custom report or a report profile, you should define a filter over here. So I should say like what type of filter I'm going to see. So am I more concerned about a single IP range on my IP network, or I'm more concerned about a certain application level traffic? So should I include it or exclude it in the report that I'm going to see? So I can define these criteria over here. So I can create a number of filters over here and just keep on adding. And once they are defined, I can simply create a profile over here. So when I create a profile, I can see what type of report I'm going to see. Is it going to be for the application specific report or the conversation, or is it going to be for source or the destination? I can select these types of reports. And here I have the feasibility of selecting the filter that I have created. So should I include the filter or exclude the filter? And once the filter is applied, you can hit next and save it. So the report will be available over here. So you'll be able to see the report that you have created according to the criteria in terms of application or the source or the conversation or the destination. So what are the report profiles that you have selected will be listed over here on separate tab, applying the filters that you have created. So this is so cool that you have the feasibility of scheduling the same. So you don't have to visit NetFlow Analyzer every time to see the data for the report profile that you have created. You can simply schedule it and say, send me this report in PDF or CSV format every day or once in a month. And also you have the immediate exporting format in CSV or PDF file format. So this will also help you in narrowing down a certain application level traffic like HTTP and HTTPS. And the last is scheduled reports. So in NetFlow Analyzer, we have the feasibility of scheduling any type of reports that you see. So we can just enable the schedules over here so that all the reports that we configure in the scheduled profile will be sent to your email address on the scheduled time. So this is all about the report profiles that we saw in NetFlow Analyzer UI. So let me quickly go back to the slides and show you. Okay, we just saw what are the report profiles that are available. How do we create the same? And what is a forensic report? And we just saw how to create a report profile and what is the benefit of the same. So next we are going to see about what is high performance. So we were discussing on what is high performance and where do we use in DPI. We saw how to use high performance in DPI and in other module and other aspects. Now let's see what is high performance. So high performance is an add-on to NetFlow Analyzer. So it is an high performance database specially designed to improve the raw data storage. So it uses something called as a concept called columnar databases in order to have an efficient storage and retrieval of data. So as I told you earlier, when we are seeing about raw data, so I told you that with high performance add-on enabled, we can extend or retain the raw data up to an year. So imagine if you do the same with the PG-SQL. So where PG-SQL can't handle so much of load. So in those cases, we introduce this columnar database that is called high performance add-on available in NetFlow Analyzer to manage these kind of requirements. So by enabling this, I can take or retain the raw flows up to an year. So this gives me a lot of advantages on increased raw data storage capacity. As I just told you earlier, it uses a columnar DB, which proves the columnar DB is the best suited for analysis, for in-depth analysis information. Again, also it is used for shortened lookup time. It makes lesser time to look up for the information from the scratch, and it also saves the troubleshooting time. So as I told you earlier, we use the raw data for more troubleshooting. So this high performance add-on enable will reduce the troubleshooting time to a greater extent. It will also improve the data compression. So it uses a lot of improved techniques where it handles a huge amount of data in a much efficient and a cooler way. And it will also help you in insight reports. Say, for example, if you use the raw data again, it will give me a complete insight about what is happening in my network. And as it is simply used for better bandwidth management. So these are the advantages of using high performance in NetFlow Analyzer. So this is how you enable it. You just navigate to settings, high performance engine, and under the NetFlow tab, you'll be able to set the same. So we are at the end of today's webinar. So let's have a quick recap. Today's session, we just discussed on what is a wireless controller and how we can configure the thing in order to monitor it, and how do we monitor or manage the data of access points and wireless controllers, and what is DPI, that is deep packet inspection, how can monitor Cisco IPSLA devices in terms of WAN links, VoIP, and video links, how I can configure a notification profile, and what is the alert profile that I can create, and what is the alarms tab, and what are the types of data that are available. We just saw the data types like raw, the aggregated data, and 1 minute data. We just saw how to enable a raw data, and we just saw how to what are the uses of raw data under the forensics report. We saw how to create a forensics report and how we can retain the same, and how we can see the raw data under the inventory for 2 hours when we enable it. And we again saw about aggregated data, what is the advantages of it, and how the aggregation is done. We also saw about the tables like 10-minute table, 1 hour table, and so on, how the data is stored and retrieved. And for the traffic information on the graph, what we saw on the interface and the device snapshot page, we discussed on a 1 minute data, how it is being stored, and how the flat file database is more efficient for storing the 1 minute data. We also saw what are the types of reports that are available in NetFlow Analyzer, like what is a billing report, how we can generate them, how it can be more helpful for an ISP or an MSP, and what is a capacity planning report, how it can be in favor of a network admin for allocating new resources and for new business requirements, and what is a consolidated report, and how we can simply create a report profile with a lot of filters added on. And finally, we just saw what is high performance and how it can be more helpful for managing a huge amount of raw data in NetFlow Analyzer UI. So I have received few questions for today's webinar. So let me quickly pull out the same. So the first question I encountered is, how much hard disk will I need to manage X number of interfaces? So this is a tricky question. So the hard disk space or the system server specification is doesn't have any impact on how many interfaces I manage, because even I can manage 1,000 interfaces or 100 interfaces. It purely depends upon the flow rate from each interfaces. So 1,000 interface could be sending a fewer flows per second, where 100 interfaces could be sending more flows per second. So it purely depends upon how many flows that the NetFlow analyzer receives for every second. So it has a direct impact on the hard disk size. The second question that I got today is, can I get information based on the user utilization? So NetFlow Analyzer is more of an IP level information. So it is not a limitation with our tool, or it is more of a limitation with the technology itself. So any flow technology can give information based on IP and not user based. So that, I hope that answers your question. So the next question is, how can I create customized reports in NetFlow Analyzer? So we just saw a few feasibilities of the same. You can just create an report profile by adding the filters for the same. So while you have the feasibility of creating a custom report. So the next question is, I have a network switch that does not support any flow technology. How can I monitor the same? So we do have a feasibility of supporting these. So there is some free tools available in internet that is called Entro. So Entro will convert any traffic information into a flow information, and that will send the flows to the NetFlow Analyzer UI. So you can probably use the Entro tool to convert the traffic information into flows, and probably we can use the same for monitoring the traffic in your network. So you can always reach us in the below numbers anytime, and you can also drop an email to netflowanalyzer-support@manageengine.com if you are a licensed customer, or if you are an evaluator, you can just drop an email to eval-item@manageengine.com. So we have a lot of forums that are available online. You can check any one of them. So we are actively writing in forums, and we also have an online help document where we have a complete in-depth information about our tool and the functions and features. And also we have a lot of YouTube videos where we have post these webinars and how to do videos, and how NetFlow Analyzer is capable of handling the latest technologies, and how do we handle the same. We can get these videos from our YouTube channel. So thank you, everyone. So I hope everyone had a good webinar and good insight on NetFlow Analyzer. So until we meet next time, it's Savi from Manage Engine. Thank you one and all for who joined the demo today. Bye.